Well, good morning and happy Wednesday. You are looking live over a beautiful Christmas tree. Sandy Springs, right, Alex? And Sandy Springs just puts you in the holiday spirit, doesn't it? Time is 6:30 on this December 21st. I'm Caitlin Heck.
And I'm Wanye Reese. If you're not already in the holiday spirit, just 4 days away from Christmas, the weather will put you in the holiday spirit real quick.
That's right. You're going to feel like you're at the North Pole in a couple days, Alex.
That's right. 36 to 48 hours. We are talking about the cold stuff arriving here in central Georgia. It's going to be an overnight Thursday into Friday event, and it's going to stick around through the weekend. This morning, though, hanging on to 40 in Macon, 40 at Warner Robins, 41 in Dublin. We've got 40 itself in Roberta, 39 waking up in Taylor County this morning. How about 41 over in Jeffersonville, Irwinton, Dudley, Dublin, Hawkinsville? It's a popular number on the map this morning. Also down to the south, we got 41 in Montezuma, 41 in Unadilla, 39 in Eastman and in McRae this morning. Only a few sprinkles out there on the radar picture. This is going to be Telfair, Wheeler, Montgomery counties. And then as we head into the afternoon hours, we are going to be looking at temperatures not moderating all that much. We went from 40 to 46 yesterday. I suspect we'll do something similar, maybe a few degrees warmer all the way up to a high of about 49, overcast through the majority of the day with a small chance of a shower during the afternoon. Sunrise at 7:33. But man, do we have a ginormous Arctic blast on the way. The coldest we've been in nearly 5 years, with wind chills below zero possible. A wind chill watch is in effect. What that means and when it can become a warning coming up.
Thank you, Alex. 6:32. Many of you are getting down to the wire on that Christmas shopping.
Our morning reporter TJ Anthony joins us live in studio with some tips, especially if you're shopping online for those last-minute gifts on your list. Good Wednesday morning to you, TJ. Break it down for us.
Good Wednesday morning. Look, we see it on our phones, laptops, and tablets. That's online scams. They're everywhere. With so many of you ordering gifts through different websites, we want to make sure you all are safe. So we have some tips from the GPI on what to look out for online.
It's a lot easier to purchase stuff online and versus going in the store to get the gifts.
Roy Shipman opted to buy some of his holiday gifts this year online versus in the store.
At least 65% of them were purchased online. That's just because of our work schedules.
He knows scammers are out there.
People are out there coming up with all types of scams to get people out of their hard-earned money.
Since 2017, cybercrime, and I'm talking about financial losses, those types of crimes, they've increased by 500%.
Special agent in charge of the Georgia Cybercrime Center for the GBI, Steve Foster, says elderly scams are on the rise. As far as where Georgia ranks out of the nation for cybercrime,
we're number 8 for cybercrime.
What they're seeing?
Either cloned websites or fraudulently created websites that are basically an internet storefront that's been created. They may be located outside of the United States. In fact, they usually are. And they're just simply set up to obtain your debit card information, your credit card information, or some other type of payment.
Foster says check where you're buying from to make sure they're reputable and use a form of payment that has fraud or consumer protection.
Credit card offers the best consumer protection.
Protection that can ensure everyone on your list gets the gift they want this season.
You know, we try to get the things that they ask for, some of the things they don't, some of the things they need.
Now, if you are a victim of a cybercrime and you've lost money, you can actually report it to the Internet Crime Complaint Center on the FBI website. Caitlin and Wani, back to you all.
Thank you so much, TJ. Phenomenal tips in that story. Now, you can also report fraudulent websites to the Federal Trade Commission.
Now, we'll post links to those sites inside this story on 13WMAZ.com a little later on this morning. Now, many of you have holiday travel plans. Maybe you're hitting the road to see family, friends, or just enjoy an end-of-the-year trip. Warren Selby with Macon Regional Crime Stopper says sometimes you can give criminals too much information with something as simple as your social media.
Don't post everything on social media. Amen. That I'm in, Las Vegas, Nevada for the next week, and people know that you're out of town.
Right now, you can check out Central Georgia Focus on 13WMAZ.com or on the 13WMAZ Plus app to hear more about holiday safety and Crime Stoppers.
And you can also learn how Macon Regional Crime Stoppers program pays people for tips that lead to a criminal arrest. Well, right now, a Macon convenience store that we've been reporting on will not be allowed to sell alcohol anymore. The county calls the M&M Food Mart dangerous, and the store shut down for a month this year because of crime. Commissioners decided against renewing the store's alcohol license last night, citing the store's history. The county says between 2016 and September 16th, there were nearly 900 911 calls from the store. They say that number dropped when the store closed. But the owner, Banu Partab, says the crime has stayed away thanks to some new policies.
We don't allow anybody to stand there inside the store more than 10 minutes.
Now, we have requested the most recent crime statistics from the sheriff's office, but have not received them yet. Well, you'll soon see the flag of the Muskogee Creek Nation flying at the Macon Bibb Government Center. Commissioners pledged their official support to the nation last night. The Muskogee Creek people lived in Macon long before Macon even existed. The architects of the Okmulgee Mounds called this place home for about 17,000 years. The county's resolution means they acknowledge the history of the lands that are now Macon Bibb.
6:36 now on your Wednesday morning. New information to share with you this morning in the search for a man who shot at an officer in Wilkinson County. Sheriff Richard Chapman says deputies and a SWAT team plan to pick their search back up this morning after ending it last night. This all started around 1 yesterday afternoon when an officer tried to serve warrants on Christopher Ford. You see him there. It happened around the 1900 block of Club Road near Toomsboro. A release from the GBI says Ford came out of a shed with a shotgun and pointed it at deputies. A deputy fired at Ford and missed. That's when Ford ran into the woods. Sheriff Chapman says teams search nearby buildings and hunting locations, but they have not been able to find him. Well, the Bibb County Sheriff's Office identified the victim of a hit and run from last weekend. They say that someone hit 64-year-old Emmanuel Jones of Macon. It happened Sunday just after 7 p.m. on Pioneer Avenue. There is no information about the driver or the vehicle that hit Jones. State Patrol officers arrested an armed man who wrecked his car after a chase. It started in Houston County yesterday after the suspect drove away from being pulled over for a traffic violation. Investigators say the suspect carjacked another car and drove on I-75 north, starting a chase. The driver crashed on US 41 near Georgia 247. During the chase, both the suspect and troopers fired shots. No injuries were reported, and the GBI will continue to investigate. Well, a Houston County judge sentenced a Florida man who pretended to be a doctor to 202 years in prison. The Houston County Sheriff's Office says Jimmy Lee Taylor told people that he was a doctor and he treated people with what he called stem cell therapy. Taylor traveled around the country to treat patients and took payment in cash. One of his victims, investigators say, was a Houston County woman. The Sheriff's Office says they found victims in at least 4 other states and that Taylor's treatments caused serious harm to some of them. A Houston County jury convicted him last week. Right now, Wilkinson County's jail administrator is on leave. Sheriff Richard Chapman says it's while the GBI investigates possible misconduct. He says he asked the GBI Friday to look into a reported incident between Captain Thomas King and an inmate. Chapman wouldn't give any further details. Mary Chandler, special agent in charge of the GBI's Milledgeville office, also declined to describe the complaint, but she said they hope to release more details soon. 2 years ago, the county agreed to pay more than $400,000 to a family of a woman who died in jail after King withheld medication. A federal judge wrote that King knew the woman had a valid prescription and that denying her medication put her at serious risk. The time is now 6:38 here on your Wednesday morning. I was just thinking about it. You want to make sure that you're bringing your pets in. You want to make sure your car is good to go. You want to make sure you're leaving those faucets dripping in your home as well so the water does not freeze. So just really thinking about tips because now is the time to get ready. Right, and this is the kind of cold you actually have to prepare for.
Yeah, another thing, your spigots outside, you're going to want to cover those up because we are looking at the possibility of being below freezing for several hours, if not days, here in central Georgia as we take a live look at Hartsfield-Jackson. Obviously, a big travel weekend coming up. Right now in Atlanta, we're looking at 39 there. Roughly the same here in Macon. We're sitting at 40 right now as we throw Warner Robins in the mix as well. 41 in Jeffersonville, 41 in Dublin, and 39 in Sandersville. Down to the south, more of the same. Now, the radar picture is quiet as well. Only a few scattered showers, mainly down towards Telfair, Wheeler, Montgomery counties, maybe crossing the line into Dodge just a little bit this morning. And we have a wind chill warning in effect. There is no way to sugarcoat this from Idaho to Montana, all the way down to Tennessee and Alabama this morning. That pink is indicative of the wind chill warning. Here in central Georgia, we have a wind chill watch, and this is in effect for wind chills potentially as low as -10 here across the area, and that's going to be for all of central Georgia, run Thursday through Saturday. Now, the reason why it's a watch and not an advisory or a warning yet is because we're within this 36 to 48 hour time period. Once we get within 36 hours, so later on today, we will transition that to either an advisory or a warning, depending on where the National Weather Service draws the line in terms of how cold it will go. So for today, I think we spend the majority of the day overcast with a few scattered showers out there. I've got about a 20% chance of rain on the day. As we get into tomorrow morning, here's 7 a.m. temperatures in the 40s once again, and tomorrow afternoon, overcast skies, looking at a few showers out there, about a 40% chance of rain. Now, What you're seeing here on your screen, this is going to be the temperature followed by the feels like temperature. Here comes that cold front. Hello, that's a giant change. Here we are at 5 a.m. Friday, 29 in Macon, 17. The feels like temperature by 7 a.m. It's going to feel like 5 whole degrees here in Macon. -1 in Forsyth, -2 in Thomaston, -1 in Eatonton, 11 in Dublin, 10 in Cordele. And we're not going to warm up through the afternoon hours all that much. 9 a.m. still feels like -4 in Thomaston, 7 in Cordele, 5 in Macon, and even by the noon hour, still feeling like it's below 0 in Forsyth and in Eatonton. And this is going to last all the way through Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, there's Christmas Eve morning, on into Christmas Eve afternoon, feeling like the teens out there as you head to the evening church services, and then for Christmas morning itself, feels like 13 degrees here in Macon. The 7 day shapes up like this. We got a 20% chance of rain today, a 40% chance of rain tomorrow, getting up to about 53 or so. And then by the time Friday hits, that 52 is misleading. That will be at about 3 in the morning. The majority of the day on Friday being spent in the teens and 20s.